Fear is one of the most basic and universal human emotions. It is an instinctive response, designed to keep us safe from danger. From a young age, fear alerts us to potential threats, helping us survive. However, as we grow, some fears evolve beyond simple protective mechanisms and become obstacles that limit our lives. These deep-seated fears can stop us from making important decisions, pursuing our dreams, or even enjoying everyday moments. Deep fears often develop over time, influenced by personal experiences, learned behaviors, and sometimes even cultural expectations. For example, a childhood trauma or repeated exposure to stressful situations can embed a fear deeply into our subconscious mind. Similarly, observing the fears of parents or role models can also shape the way we respond to potential threats. These fears are not always rational. In fact, the most disruptive ones often have no logical basis, but still evoke strong physical and emotional reactions. Physiologically, fear triggers the body's fight or flight response. The heart rate accelerates, muscles tense, and the mind focuses intensely on the perceived threat. While this response can be life-saving in dangerous situations, in everyday life, it often becomes counterproductive. The brain may react as if a social interaction, a public speaking event, or even a new opportunity is life-threatening, leading to avoidance behaviors. Over time, avoidance reinforces the fear, creating a cycle that becomes increasingly difficult to break. The first step to facing your deepest fears is awareness. You must recognize not only that the fear exists, but also how it manifests in your body, mind, and behavior. Keep a journal or mental note of situations that trigger intense anxiety or discomfort. Observe physical sensations, tightness in the chest, rapid breathing, sweaty palms, and acknowledge them without judgment. Understanding your fear at this level provides insight into its patterns and allows you to confront it more effectively. Next comes the process of acceptance. Accepting fear does not mean resigning to it. Rather, it involves acknowledging that fear is part of the human experience. Many people try to suppress or deny their fears, believing that avoiding them will make them disappear. In reality, suppression often strengthens fear over time. By allowing yourself to feel fear without judgment, you create a foundation of self-compassion and courage that will support the next steps. Another crucial aspect is breaking down the fear into manageable components. Deep fears often feel overwhelming because they are perceived as monolithic and unchangeable. By dissecting the fear into smaller, specific elements, it becomes more approachable. For instance, if you fear public speaking, start by identifying what aspect scares you most. The possibility of forgetting your words, being judged, or facing an unresponsive audience. Addressing each component individually reduces the overall intensity of the fear. Visualization and mental rehearsal can also be powerful tools. Imagine yourself confronting the fear successfully. Visualize the scenario in as much detail as possible. The sights, sounds, feelings, and your calm, confident response. Repetition of this mental exercise primes the brain for real-life situations, gradually reducing the fear response. Pairing visualization with deep breathing techniques or mindfulness meditation further strengthens your ability to remain calm when facing actual challenges. Social support plays an essential role in confronting deep fears. Sharing your fears with trusted friends, family, or a therapist provides perspective, validation, and encouragement. Sometimes just articulating what terrifies you diminishes its power. Additionally, seeking professional guidance can offer structured approaches such as cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure therapy, or gradual desensitization, which have been scientifically proven to help reduce the intensity of fears over time. Finally, it is vital to understand that facing your deepest fears is not about eliminating fear entirely. Fear is a natural and necessary part of life. The goal is to prevent fear from controlling your choices and actions, enabling you to pursue opportunities, embrace growth, and experience life fully. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. In the next part, we will explore practical strategies, daily habits, and mindset shifts that can help you confront and gradually overcome your deepest fears, transforming them from obstacles into sources of personal strength and resilience. Building on the awareness and acceptance of your fears, the next step involves gradual exposure and action. Facing fear does not mean jumping headfirst into the most terrifying scenario. It means taking deliberate, manageable steps that progressively challenge your comfort zone. This process, known as exposure therapy, is one of the most effective methods for diminishing fear responses. Start with small actions, tiny experiments that feel safe but slightly uncomfortable, and gradually increase the challenge over time. Each successful step builds confidence, proving that the feared outcome is not as threatening as imagined. Another key strategy is cognitive restructuring. Fear is often fueled by distorted thinking, imagining worst-case scenarios, overestimating danger, or underestimating your abilities. By identifying and challenging these thought patterns, you can replace them with more realistic and balanced perspectives. For example, if you fear rejection, remind yourself that not every interaction will lead to failure, and that mistakes are opportunities for growth rather than disasters. Regularly questioning and reframing fearful thoughts gradually weakens their grip on your behavior. Mindfulness and relaxation techniques are equally important. Deep breathing, meditation, or progressive muscle relaxation can reduce the physiological symptoms of fear, such as racing heartbeat or shallow breathing. By calming the body, you provide the mind with space to respond more rationally rather than reactively. Incorporating daily mindfulness practices not only helps in immediate fear situations, but also strengthens emotional resilience over the long term. Goal setting and positive reinforcement enhance the process. Set clear, achievable objectives for confronting your fears and reward yourself for progress, no matter how small. Celebrating small victories reinforces the behavior, creating a positive feedback loop that encourages further growth. Over time, this builds both confidence and resilience, reducing the overall intensity of fear. It is also important to develop a growth mindset. Understand that setbacks are natural and not indicative of personal failure. Facing fears is rarely a linear journey. There will be moments of progress and moments of regression. Embrace each experience as a lesson and focus on long-term improvement rather than instant mastery. By adopting this mindset, fear becomes a teacher rather than an obstacle. Support networks remain crucial throughout the process. Engage with others who share similar challenges, join support groups, or maintain open communication with trusted individuals. Learning from others' experiences, receiving encouragement, and feeling understood are all vital components of successfully overcoming fear. Professional guidance, including therapy or coaching, can provide structured support and accountability, making the journey less daunting. Another effective tool is visualization paired with action. Imagine confronting your fear successfully, then take real steps to enact that scenario in controlled conditions. For instance, if public speaking triggers anxiety, start by rehearsing in front of a mirror, then to a small group, gradually increasing the audience size. Visualization primes the brain, while real-life practice consolidates learning, reducing fear responses over time. Finally, remember that fear is not an enemy, but a signal. It alerts you to areas requiring growth, attention, or preparation. The goal is not to eradicate fear, but to prevent it from dictating your life choices. Courage emerges not from the absence of fear, but from consistent action despite it. By applying awareness, acceptance, exposure, cognitive restructuring, mindfulness, goal setting, and support, you can gradually transform your deepest fears into sources of strength, resilience, and personal empowerment. Take a moment to reflect. What fear has been holding you back the most? Today is the day to start small. Take the first step, and reclaim control over your life. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe for more tips on mental health, personal growth, and emotional resilience. Share in the comments which fears you're confronting and what strategies work for you. Your experience could inspire someone else to take their first step.